Welcome back, everybody, to the BetIt Sports Podcast, only for the true sports fan. I am JCOLE. I am joined by my co-host DZAMP. BetIt fans, don't fear. Slush will be back in our next episode. For now, we have the boy DZAMP back, and we are back with another episode of Buy or Sell, your guys' favorite series. DZAMP, I'll let you break it down. Tell them what this series is all about. Tell them about this tweet. Have at it.
Yeah. So obviously we have the most true tweet of all time. BetIt's the best sports channel on earth. The way buy or sell works, we got a take, we buy it. That means we agree with it. It's going all the way. We're selling it, not really believing in it. We don't think it's what's going to happen.
100%, brother. I couldn't have said it any better myself. These are all fan-submitted takes, so if you guys do want to, join our community, be a part of these videos, we're having fan co-hosts on. We're also doing all of your guys' takes on these videos. So drop a comment down below, tweet at us at #buyorSell. We will be getting to everybody's tweets, but DZAMP, let's get right into it. Our first buy or sell of the day comes from @BearsNation, and he says, Caleb Williams will be the best quarterback from the 2024 class. #buy or sell. DZAMP, I'm going to kick that right to you as my co-host. Are you buying or selling Caleb Williams being the best quarterback from this latest draft class?
Yeah, well, Caleb Williams, obviously the number one pick in the draft. A lot of hype coming out of college. But we did see a different story in the NFL. Obviously, the Bears, not a very great organization in the NFL. But you can say the same thing for a guy like Jalen Daniels, who went to a Commanders team that has been known to not be great, especially when it comes to making the postseason.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I do think Jalen Daniels is quite easily the best quarterback in this class. We only have a year to go off of.
Sure.
Obviously, a phenomenal rookie year. I remember a game where he beat out the Eagles, obviously the Super Bowl champs that neutralized Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That was outstanding. Just to go over some stats here, Jalen Daniels was the second-ranked rookie quarterback last year in passing yards, just behind Bo Nix. I do think Jalen Daniels has the punctuality. He has the leadership. He has this talent to go all the way. However, Caleb Williams, not a great receiving core. Romo Dunze being, I would say, their top receiver, maybe Keenan Allen as well. But I do think Jalen Daniels does have the skills and the talent and the weapons to really go all the way here.
I agree, Dylan. I think the 2024 quarterback class is a really, really stacked class. And like you said, you only have 1 year to draw off of. Caleb Williams has been kind of the guy from that class since his freshman year at Oklahoma when he stepped in. He has been that guy. He transferred to USC, and people were telling, the media that he was going to be the number one pick 3 years prior. I think that hype has died down a little bit with a kind of a dry rookie year. Jalen Daniels obviously had one of the best rookie seasons that we've ever seen in league history. Bo Nix had a great year, taking the Broncos to the playoffs. You got a guy like Drake May, Michael Penix getting his shot in Atlanta. There's so many guys, Dylan, and I think Caleb Williams is going to get his fair share of shots in Chicago. They've never had a franchise quarterback. I mean, you can say what it is, like Jay Cutler may have been a franchise guy, but let's just be honest. They've never had a franchise quarterback that they can build around. They're going to give this guy Caleb Williams a shot. They're building around him. They're building that offensive line. They've picked up a ton of offensive weapons. They had a good draft this previous draft. I just can't say yet that Caleb Williams will be the best. I have to go off of what I've seen so far. I think Caleb has looked good in the preseason. He led a long 92-yard drive, capped it off with a 36-yard touchdown in his last preseason drive. I can't put too much stock into that, Dylan. I think for me right now, Jalen Daniels, Bo Nix, Caleb Williams is how I'm ranking those three. Drake May, Michael Penix are rounding out the top five. Not to say Caleb Williams, if he can win Chicago a Super Bowl, he will be immortalized forever in that city. It's like the Cubs winning the World Series. It's like Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo. Those guys are immortal in that city. So if Caleb Williams can bring them back to prominence, he'll be a legend forever. But if he can't, he's just going to be another bust that Chicago has drafted. I'm going to sell it, Dylan. We're on the same page. Let's get right into the next take.
Perfect. Let's go.
Our next take comes from @Texas Hold'em. Looks like a Texan here, Dylan. He says, Wemby leads the Spurs to a top 3 seed in the West and potentially a finals appearance. Bet it. #buy or sell. Dylan, I kicked the first one to you right off the bat. I'm going to take the lead on this one. Dylan, I'm going to sell the finals appearance, but I'm going to buy the top 3 seed in the West if Wemby can stay healthy. I'm in love with this roster. It's a young roster filled with a couple vets plugging the holes up. I've been a fan of De'Aaron Fox ever since he came out of Kentucky. I love him running the point. You got a really big combo guard, the guy that can run the 1 or the 2 in Dylan Harper. I know he's not going to get a ton of looks off the bat. You got Stephon Castle, the reigning Rookie of the Year. Harrison Barnes is an ever-reliable veteran. If Wemby can stay healthy and you've got a couple other guys in that locker room that I love, young presences, Devin Vassell is a really good plug-and-play 3-and-D guy. I think the West is strong, but we talked about it in our previous meeting. Dylan, the Rockets were a top 3 seed. The Lakers were a top 3 seed in the West last year. This is kind of wide open for them to break in. And I think if Wemby can anchor this team, it's a young team. But like I said, when there's a young team with some veteran presence in the locker room, I think that mixes so well. I think if their young guys can stay healthy, the Wembanyama, the Harper, guys like that, Stephon Castle, I think they can really do damage. I don't think they're experienced enough to make a run to the finals or even a conference finals appearance. But as far as a regular season, take goes, I'm going to buy that top 3 seed, Dylan. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah, this is a really interesting take for sure. Obviously, the Western Conference, I would say, especially going into this season, is a lot more competitive than the Eastern Conference, especially with all those injuries. But I'm going to go ahead and sell this take. Obviously, we know the Spurs are a premium organization in the NBA with Greg Popovich at the helm now in the front office. They've had the greats. They know how to run an organization, and they know how to grow talent. And like you said, there's so much talent on this roster. I'm not even going to name them again because you named them, but Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, and obviously Victor Wembanyama. The one thing that does scare me, though, is how healthy is Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
We did see him randomly leave the team with those blood clots halfway through last season. Obviously, not ideal for the team, but they ended up tanking and landing that number 2 pick and landing Dylan Harper, which I think is a big plus. They did land De'Aaron Fox at the trade deadline last year, which was a huge, huge move and a great step in the right direction. However, I just think the Western Conference is very deep. Oklahoma City Thunder, they're going to be there at the top. The Rockets just landing Kevin Durant. That's a really serious move.
That's huge.
The Lakers are going to be the Lakers. LeBron James, Austin Reeves. Jokic is going to be Jokic, and he'll go off for his insane triple-double numbers. You got Ant Edwards in Minnesota, and you got Kawhi with the Clippers. I just don't see a scenario where this team fits in. I think the only way they get into a top 3 seed is if Wemby has an MVP-type season, and I think that's a really big ask for a guy who's only played a few seasons in the NBA. I wouldn't rule it out. I don't think I could see them as the top 3 seed. I could definitely see them making the playoffs. But a finals is a little ambitious for my liking.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're going with that, Dylan. We're on opposite ends of the coin here. Just from my perspective, I look in the state of Texas, and like I said, I see the same team that I saw last year with the Rockets making the top 3, making the number 2 seed. And this was a pre-Kevin Durant Rockets team where you had guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün running the 5. And I see the same thing. I'm thinking, why can't the Spurs do that? You have a solidified all-star point guard in De'Aaron. You got a guy who can be an MVP-type caliber player if he's healthy. Like you said, the blood clots are super concerning. That's not an injury where you're like, okay, he's going to rehab from that. We're going to see his progress on a 2 to 4 week basis. It's not like tearing your Achilles or tearing your ACL, Dylan. That's a serious internal organs thing. You know what I mean? That's something that can't really be quantified by, okay, he looks good on the court. It kind of could flare up at any time. But I think if they're healthy, they have enough youth and enough depth where I could see a world, Dylan, where they're around that top 5, top 4, and they move some of that youth for a competitive 3 or a competitive 4. Like, I'm not going to get super ambitious and say Giannis, but maybe somebody that's a really solid 3-and-D guy. Like if we can go get a Cam Johnson at the deadline for some of that younger talent that we're not exactly giving minutes to. You know what I mean? I think they have such a premium of talent that they can go get a guy at the deadline and maybe make that push towards a top 3 seed. That's just where I'm going with it.
I definitely agree with that. I think a 3-and-D guy, they already have a few in Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, but I think what the Knicks did a few years ago, getting OG Anunoby, really skyrocketed that team. And I think a guy like Desmond Bane that just got traded to Orlando, or another guy like Mikal Bridges a few years ago to the Knicks as well, I think that could definitely get them in there. I just think with the roster that they have now, it's just a little ambitious at this point.
I agree. I mean, I look at another sport and I look at a team like the Dodgers or the Padres, and they have such a wealth of youth prospects. And I feel like this is the same thing with the San Antonio Spurs team. They could use that plethora of young talent and go and get a guy that's solidified 3-and-D all-star caliber player. I just think that's what's going to happen at the deadline, Dylan. I think we move on.
Sure, let's go.
Let's move on, Dylan. Our next tweet comes from @PhillySpecial. Looks like another Philadelphia guy. Jalen Hurts is severely underrated. He is a top 7 quarterback at least. Fly, Eagles, fly with the Eagles logo. Dylan, I know you're an Eagles fan. Try to keep the bias out of it, but I'm going to kick this to you first. Are you buying or selling Jalen Hurts being a top 7 quarterback?
Yeah, this is a really tough one because I definitely think he's within this range.
Yeah.
Definitely at the later half for sure, though. You got the no-brainers and the Josh Allens, the Patrick Mahomes. I think Joe Burrow for sure is definitely in that group. I'm going to buy this take, and I'm going to say Jalen Hurts is number 7.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. Jalen Hurts, yeah, sure, you could say he has Saquon Barkley. Yeah, he has Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. He's got the whole line to help him. But Jalen Hurts is a dog.
Yeah.
And that guy can squat 500 pounds of pure weight. You see the tush push. You see other teams doing it. They can't do it as effective as the Eagles. You see the way he can run the ball, the way he can throw the ball, his clutch and the clutch is just flowing through his genes. I'm just like salivating over this topic because I feel like Jalen Hurts doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Fair.
You got guys saying like, oh, Saquon does it all for him. Yeah, but you know, the reason Saquon gets all those opportunities because if he pulls that ball back, he's flying, right? He's not a one-dime back like maybe like an Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career, right? Or you can even say a guy like Brock Purdy who's a pocket passer, right? I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is outstanding, but I do think he does squeak into that top 7, if not maybe just outside the top 7. But I'm going to be bold and be a biased Eagles fan that I am and say he gets in there.
Dylan, I think I'm going to buy this one as well. And I am not a Jalen Hurts guy. I am not an Eagles guy. I know you're a big Eagles guy. I don't mean to offend you here, but I'm an Eagles hater. I do not like the Eagles. I'm a Saints fan. And just because the Eagles are nice, I'm going to hate on them. The Saints are going to suck this year. But here's the thing. I'm going to kick it to another sport once again. We just saw him lose in the main event 2 nights ago, but I'm going to talk about Dricus du Plessis. He's not the most technical fighter. He's not the most skilled fighter. He's not the most powerful, but he's a winner. He, all throughout his UFC career, throughout his career prior, he just found ways to win. And I think for Jalen Hurts, it's the same type of thing. Is he going to be the fastest quarterback ever? No, that's Lamar Jackson. Is he going to have the best arm? No, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have much better arms. Is he going to be the best pocket presence guy? Absolutely not. There are probably 5 guys better than him in that aspect. But is he going to win? 100% yes. He's done that at every level. He took Alabama to the national championship game. He took Oklahoma to the college football playoff. He won state championships in high school. He just won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. He was the MVP. Dylan, I don't want to give Jalen Hurts the credit that he deserves. I'm not a big fan of the guy. I don't think he's top 5, but I think he fits directly into that top 7. Obviously, you have the top 5 squared away. We already talked about it. You've got guys that have won MVPs in this league multiple times. Mahomes, Allen, guys like that. Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Those are 4 off the top of my head that I think, those are going to be in my top 5 automatically. But Jalen Hurts, I just saw he's an 86 on Madden. The disrespect, man. This is a Super Bowl MVP reigning guy he just wins, Dylan. And that's why I'm going to put him in my top 7 until somebody else knocks him off, until I see Jaden Daniels win a Super Bowl, or until I see somebody like that go out. I know he had playoff success, but until I see him hoist that Lombardi trophy over his head, I got to give Jalen Hurts his respect, and I got to say this guy is a winner. He's going to continue to win, and until he falters, I'm going to say that winning mentality makes up for any lack of skill. I don't care. You can put anyone around him. It's not his fault. It's the same argument that people made for Brock Purdy. Oh, it's his weapons. It's his weapons. He still had to win those games, and guess what he did? He won. Same thing can be said for Jalen Hurts. He won the big one. He knocked off Patrick Mahomes. And that puts him into I think he is severely underrated, and I think he's a top 7 quarterback, Dylan. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I also wanted to bring up the fact that Jalen Hurts has been to two Super Bowls in the last 3 years, right? That's pretty serious. I mean, he was a second round pick. Everyone was like, "Wow, Howie Roseman, why would you pick a quarterback? You got Carson Wentz already." And then, sure enough, he shows up, shows what he can do, and it's just great. Fly Eagles fly. That's all I can really say.
Dylan, I can't say the same about Fly Eagles Fly, but we're both buying right there. Let's move on to our last take of the night, coming from at NY Boy. Knicks win the East in all caps. Dylan, I am going to lead this off because I feel strongly about this take. I kicked you the last one. You stole a lot of my ideas, man. I know you're my co-host, but I'm going to take the lead on this one. Just like NY Boy put this in all caps, I'm going to put SELL in the biggest capital letters I can find in the alphabet, Dylan. No, they're not winning the East. They are snake bit. It's like the Padres or, the Clippers. They're the little bro. They're not going to win the East. Until I see it with my own eyes, I can't buy that take, Dylan. It's like the Clippers every year. Oh, we got Blake Griffin, then they got Paul George and Kawhi. We got CP3, and then it didn't happen. It's like the Padres. We got Juan Soto. We got, Fernando Tatis. We got the best lineup in the league. Did it happen? No. They've never been able to win the big one. And in my lifetime, I've never seen the Knicks hoist that championship, Dylan. I have the best roster on paper in the East. That roster is stacked. That starting lineup is incredible. Jalen Brunson is one of the best players in the league. I would put him inside my top 10 just due to the fact that this guy can take over in the fourth and put a game away. I like Jalen Brunson. I like Mikal Bridges. I like them being a little bit more healthy in this 2025 season. I think the East is wide open with Jason Tatum getting hurt. But until I see it with my own eyes, I cannot justify buying that the Knicks will win anything, let alone a conference championship, Dylan. I am going to sell this in big, bold, blue and orange letters. Give me the sell. Dylan, where are you going with this one? Take us home.
Yeah, yeah. So the Knicks, a team notoriously known for not doing great, especially
For
in the
choking.
NBA. Yeah, for choking. Obviously, a few years ago with Trae Young, absolutely icing the garden.
Yeah.
No words left for Trae Young there. We've seen it in previous years. We've seen it even last year.
We saw it last year with Halliburton.
But my friend, yeah, this New York Knicks team is going to win the East. Bye.
No.
There is something in that water, all right, in the Hudson River, all right? I'll tell you what, Jalen Brunson is a dog. He knows how to lead this team to the promised land. OG Anunoby, we mentioned it earlier, 3-and-D beast. Josh Hart, 3-and-D beast. Mikal Bridges, 3-and-D beast. You can say that about the whole team pretty much. That's more than half of their starting lineup is 3-and-D beast. Not forgetting, I don't know, the best three-point shooting center of all time, Karl Anthony Towns, just to round out the five. And yeah, I know his defense is a little lackluster, but that's why you got a guy like Mitchell Robinson to back him up. And a big thing I really wanted to mention too is not only their depth. They got Jordan Clarkson this offseason. Miles McBride is obviously a big jump he made last year,
Yeah, he's
especially
a stud. Deuce is a stud.
when he's competing with Malachi Flynn. But the big thing that I think is going to change them this year is Mike Brown. Mike Brown getting hired to that spot, I think, is a phenomenal fit for them.
I agree.
Tom Thibodeau obviously did a great job with that group, bringing them from basically nothing to a very big contender in the East. You can look at this Eastern Conference, and it's wide open. Obviously, Halliburton and Jason Tatum are both out with big injuries. That Cavaliers team does scare me. I can't lie to you. I think Evan Mobley's going to take another big step this year. Obviously, he gets his accolades. He knows that he's probably one of the best bigs in the NBA. Not to forget Donovan Mitchell, who's an absolute dog. 6'4" killer, can drop 30 on you in an instant. And Darius Garland, obviously, with a bounce back year. But I just think this Knicks team has what it needs. And I think that, the Celtics are going to be a bit worse this year with Tatum out.
For sure.
The Knicks are going to be the team that takes it. And, I'm going to buy it.
That's a hot take, brother. And to quote the great Charles Barkley, That's ridiculous, man. That's crazy. I just think that is ridiculous, Dylan. You said something's in the water in New York, and I think you're right. I think it's fentanyl, Dylan, and I think you got a little bit of it prior to this episode because I don't know how you can buy the Knicks winning anything, brother. As long as we've been alive, the Knicks have been chokers, and that's exactly Spike Lee, Reggie Miller. I'm going to take it back to the 90s, bro. It's been even before we were sperm. We were sperm. We probably weren't even sperm at that time. We weren't even anything, and they were choking. And they are still choking to this day. I cannot justify a buy there. I think he makes some great points. That roster is stacked top to bottom. I love the bench unit. I think they upgraded heavily by replacing a guy like Cam Payne with a great scorer like Jordan Clarkson. I think he's a guy who can give you 20 off the bounce in 15 minutes. I think he's a great plug-and-play guy to that roster. But, Dylan, it's more of a prove-it scenario for me. If the Knicks can make me eat my words, maybe next year on Buy or Sell episode 300, I'll be saying Knicks are going back-to-back. But for now, I can't justify it. Brother, you make some great takes. We're on opposite sides of the coin for this last one. But I can't hate on your takes, bro. It's been an honor to have you on the show. Once again, everybody show some love down below to Mr. Dylan Zamperin, a.k.a. DZAMP, joining us all the way from Canada. He's in a different time zone, so he is putting in the work for you, BetIt family. Once again, I am your co-host, Jackson. I got my boy Dylan back here. He'll be back for future episodes. Buy or Sell episode 4 will be back later this week. Dylan, why don't you give the BetIt family a little sign-off?
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate you letting me back on, and I'll always come and bring the hot takes. I'll bring my point of view. If you don't agree with me, let me know in the comments. Let me see what you guys think. But other than that, signing out. See you, boys.
Drop it in the comments, boys. Give us some buy or sells. We want to interact with our community. Once again, we love you guys. BetIt family, we're out.